I don't want to romanticize my role as a writer. You know, in this book being successful, it doesn't mean that power has been redistributed to the people that it should have been redistributed for. You know what I mean? Like, when I read a book that I really love and I learn something, it doesn't make me a better person, unfortunately. And so first is always the story. The first thing I want is for readers to love the story and forget where they are. I think that's like a high that I get when an art piece does that, and I really do want to give people that. But of course, I think that every novel is political, whether the writer intends it to be or not. And if we're going to get something out of this, it's to look at these systems for sure, and maybe wonder, you know, why can't a young woman go to the doctor if she gets sick? That doesn't seem right to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of part of a wider discussion around, you know, art, and in this particular time, I know 2020 with the Black Lives Matter movement, and, you know, just racism being talked about a lot more openly and on these mainstream platforms like Instagram, for example. There really is a discussion to be had around, you know, Black art and Black art being received, or art made by Black people being received by a white audience as a way of educating that audience. But I think it's really important for you, as you've said so many times, for it not necessarily to be that, and just to be able to stand on its own. Why is that important to you?
You know, I think it's a unfortunate and almost unhealthy, you know, expectation to expect Black artists to look at their art and say, okay, so your art must be saying something new about race. Tell me something new about race. When some artists just want to, you know, have a rom-com, or some artists want to be a philosopher. You know, there's so many different things that art can bring us, and just because it's a Black person delivering it doesn't mean that the reader or enjoyer should leave knowing something new about race. I would Black artists ask the same questions that other white artists are asked as well. I remember earlier this year when I was longlisted for the Booker, which was so exciting. I had a lot of interviewers asking me, how does it feel to be nominated for something that was built upon by slavery and exploitation? Which is such an interesting question that has, in my experience, never been asked of a white writer. I've never ever even been considered, like, how do you feel knowing that this prize was built upon the backs of Black people?
Right.
I've never seen that. And I feel that Black authors often get loaded with all of this responsibility to have a really great response to, you know, hundreds of years of exploitation. And so on an individual level, all I can do is try and word it the best I can and say, you know, I'm going to wait until I hear more white writers answer that question before I do it. And when it comes to my art, it's doing exactly what you said, you know, concentrating on the reason why I started writing it in the first place, which for me is an education. I do work as a teacher. I'll be teaching at Temple University in the spring. And when I'm a teacher, that's what I'm doing. But when I'm a writer, it has to just be the book that I would love to read.